Greetings everyone, and welcome to the whatever episode of Vibes Plane Overthrow. This is episode 1 of Epic 2. And we are back. How's it going there, Klaesick?
I am doing alright, just kind of existing. But the existing is going good so far. How are you?
I'm doing alright. I'm kind of the same way. As you can see, we are starting a new project. This is Epic 2. And we're very excited.
Dude, Indiana Jones ripped this SWAT off.
Oh my god, it's so embarrassing. I mean, those movies came out 30 years before this one, but they totally ripped it off. But yeah, I'm doing alright. Yesterday was Monday, and I'm already really tired, but isn't that just the way it goes?
The Garfield phenomenon.
Thank goodness for lasagna, or in my case, pizza, because I think it's better than lasagna.
In my case, it's grilled cheese, which I just had before this recording. So.
Grilled cheese is delicious. Klaesick and I wanted to do a series of playthroughs. I think we mentioned this in a few other videos, but we wanted to do some playthroughs that focus on, like, epic, pun intended, adventure-themed WADs. And this seemed like a perfect place to start. So, yeah, we're gonna jump in with this one, and then, see how we do. Have you played this before, Klaesick?
I have, actually. I really liked the theming, for the earlier levels at least. The pickup sounds I can't get enough of.
They're pretty cool.
The music as well. It's very atmospheric, I would say. Very atmospheric vibe.
I love the small changes, like the imps, which are now kind of charcoal colored as opposed to, like, brown. And I also love, like you mentioned... I'm sorry, go ahead.
My only problem with this WAD so far is it's a bit hard to navigate. Well,
yeah.
But it might be due to my foolishness because I got stuck on the first level for like 30 to 40 minutes just trying to figure out where to go. And then I realized there was like a secret door behind, and I was like...
We'll see how I do. Maybe you can help me with navigation, because I have never played this before. Full disclosure, I have...
There's some walls. Go back to where you were in the key.
Okay.
Go back. So in that room, there are several like coated walls, like over there. Those two over there, behind you.
These?
No, other behind you. Yeah, those two. The two open doors, I'd say. Yeah. I'm bad at directions. There's one on the left of you and one on the right of you.
Yeah.
Those ones, yeah.
I've gone through them, I think.
I remember it took me a long time to figure that out, for whatever reason.
Well, it's really non-intuitive, and again, the only reason I was able to figure out is because I think I watched the Dean of Doom playthrough, and so I knew to press on those, but there's not a lot indicating them, so you kind of have to have just an eye for, like, secrets and keep an eye on those.
This is like my first Eternal map, so I'm not really too familiar with the style, but I can kind of get what he's going for with this.
As obtuse as this is, I've heard that, like, Eternal Doom is much more obtuse and also has much worse combat too. So I'm glad we're playing this though, because this has atmosphere and brilliant texture work to spare. I also just wanted to demonstrate, I love the sound when you fall from a height. I love that gadunk, kind of like shoe falling sound. It's really sexy.
I like the pickup sound. That's my favorite. I'm not sure where that's from.
Oh yeah, the whoosh, the kind of whooshing sound. Yeah. That's really cool. Oh, I never pressed the...
I feel like there would be a pickup sound for like medieval Japan or like sort of WAD, or like a samurai WAD if those ever come out.
It is a really cool... Yeah, it is a really cool...
I don't know where it's from though, so
I'm sure it probably says in the text file. If you want to, you can look it up. I'm just playing the game, so it's hard for me to like pause, but I'm sure it's from something.
I probably will at some point too. Also, the Revenants have green eyes.
I know. I was noticing that the first time I was playing this a few weeks ago, and it's a cool aesthetic choice. I also love, I like cooing over details in Doom mods. Like, I love this little detail of like the corpse like hanging like from a little chaff thing here. Like, what's his story? Why isn't he hanging there? Did someone sacrifice him, or what's going on? Also, this looks like
sacrifice him to great God.
But it's not. Okay.
Remember what the old gods said, man. Christmas is a vile pagan holiday, and everybody who celebrates it is going to hell.
Oh no, I'm definitely going to hell if that's the case. I love me some Christmas. I love all the sweets. I love all the presents and the snow and the Santa. Though I'm sure being a Colorado man, you probably get really tired of the snow every now and then.
Tired of the snow? I don't see snow that often. I kind of like snow.
Really? I would have thought.
I see snow more than rain, though. So, yeah.
Okay.
We're basically on like the very edge of, at least where I am, the very edge of like being a desert. So we barely get any like rain. We're the sunniest state, I think. So.
Fair enough. I can dig it.
At least in terms of like not having cloudy days. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one thing I wanted to say about this WOD is, like, I feel like most kind of tentpole Doom WODs, you know, like your Valiants, your Ancient Aliens, I guess Ancient Aliens to a lesser degree, but your Scythe 2s are very, like, very kind of, like, action game influenced. Whereas this is much more kind of adventure RPG influence in terms of like its music and its atmosphere and so forth. And that gives it like a really unique feel, I feel like, which is really cool.
Yeah. Other WODs can be adventurous, but this is kind of like the first one where it actually does kind of feel less like a action and more adventure type things.
Oh yeah, totally. Just you talking about the,
I think it was like the Dean of Doom episode. It was just like don't be Rambo, be Indiana Jones or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. This is less. I mean, that's a perfect analogy. This is less Rambo and it's more indie. And it definitely has that kind of feel of like, definitely like Raiders of the Lost Ark. For this kind of first level, absolutely. This makes me think of like the map room with like the staff.
Yeah, I heard Harrison Ford. I heard Indiana Jones is getting another movie, and I just feel bad because Harrison Ford's clearly had like enough of this shit at this point.
Oh my god! And he's like in his like late 80s now, right? He's so old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel for him too, because I mean, I get it, it's a popular series and it makes money, but part of the appeal of indie, in my opinion, is that he's like a cool, damn it, now I'm gonna, actually, no, I get a berserk at the beginning of the next level, so I'll just tank that damage. But part of the appeal of indie is he's like a cool, not young guy, but younger guy. Like, Indiana Jones should not be old and decrepit, in my opinion. It kind of loses the appeal of the character.
I'm not really a fan of Indiana Jones. I know people who are, but I'm just more like sad about Harrison Ford himself, especially with like Star Wars. He didn't want to be Han Solo anymore, so he's like, no, just kill him off. I don't care. I don't want to do this anymore. You know?
Well, you know what they say. Great big sacks of cash speak louder than words. Also, I love the secret pickup sound, though. That's right in this.
It sounds like the sandwich streams are kind of like, damn, that's nice.
I'm gonna open up this backpack and shit down its neck. I don't know if you've seen the his playthrough of DBP 54, but he says that a lot. And that's the secret sound in that one too, which is a lot like this one actually. It's got a lot of the same motifs and a lot of the same kind of visual stuff going on, but it's a bit easier and a bit more digestible. So it's kind of like Epic 2 light, I'll say. And I think
sense.
this is a secret. I'm not sure. Here,
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Is that from Blood or something else?
That's right. It's definitely not from Blood, but this music is, and it was also used in Scythe 2's in that 06. So
Really?
yeah, it's the same track. So
very Egyptian.
I think it's like the title. I think it's the title theme of Blood. So
that's really cool.
I know it is from Blood, but I don't know where specifically it's from. So.
Also, I know I mentioned this on our last playthrough, but I love the texturing in this WAD. Like, I know it's very simple. This is a vanilla compatible thing, but like, I mean, the textures on the wall, they have like old hieroglyphics, and the lighting around these vases is just so cool. It's simple stuff. It has to be with the Doom engine, but it's also like really, really cool. I like it.
I also think it's very interesting that a lot of Doom WADs, not a lot, but there's a large amount that are themed around Egyptian architecture, like this one, and that kind of fascinated me as to like why. So.
Oh my god, they scream at you. You're absolutely right. That's interesting. Why do you think that is? Why do you think so many?
I guess I remember you said this a while ago about a similar topic. It's because it's very symmetrical. That might be a reason. It could have come from TNT being popular as well, or like a mix of the two, because you know TNT has some like Egyptian stuff in there. Not a lot, granted, but like enough where you can notice it being there. So.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think it's like it's easy atmosphere, and like you said, like I mentioned last time, it's one of those things where the kind of blockiness of Egyptian atmosphere really lends itself to the kind of inherent blockiness of any kind of Doom engine.
I think it's also similar deal with a Central American themed or Mesoamerican themed WADs like Advocator and stuff. Very symmetrical, but instead of being TNT, it's kind of based around plutonium, I think, because some of the levels were literally like Aztec.
Oh yeah, totally.
So.
Did you mean?
Although I don't think it takes place in Mexico because one of the levels is called. So.
Something's hitting me. I don't know who it is. Ah, there you are. Actually, I'll bet I can make those guys invite. I always feel so self-conscious about save scumming in all these levels, but I guess that is kind of the point of our channel, or one of the points, is to like.
Yeah, we're a push back against the common doom grain of ultraviolence and kind of elitism in general. So.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I do enjoy playing ultraviolence from time to time, but there definitely is kind of a mentality in the community of if you're not playing on UV, and if you're not pistol starting, you're not playing legitimately, which I really disagree with. I feel like the point is to be able to play it however you want to.
Yeah. I've had a kind of similar experience where I've encountered interesting portions of the community over the years. I remember one person in Doomwork that I commented on recently said that type of behavior just doesn't exist. I was like, what? I was like really confused.
What kind of behavior are you talking about?
Kind of the ultraviolence is the only way to play Doom behavior, or like kind of the mentality towards ultraviolence. So
yeah,
or as like the default. That weirded me out, so I didn't reply, and I do feel kind of bad, but at the same time, it's just like I don't really know what to say to counter that.
I know who you mean. I think some people can be toxic without even knowing it. So,
yeah.
Oh, I can get a megasphere if I want to. Nice.
That's right.
That's right.
I get why it happened, or at least or why ultraviolence is kind of put on the pedestal, because the community has just kind of gotten better over the years.
Oh, sure.
We've had like 30 years to grow and establish ourselves, so a difficulty increase isn't unexpected. So it's kind of like the Kaizo Mario hacks, where like over the years as the people in the community got more established, people started making harder stuff.
That's very true. And yet the Kaizo stuff is like just crazy difficult and can only be enjoyed too by like a small portion of people who still enjoy like playing Mario and so forth.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Kaizo stuff?
There's no I've never played a Kaizo thing, but I think Mario Maker's probably the closest I'd ever get. There is one hack I do want to play that's not Kaizo, but it's called Call of Cthulhu. And I basically adapted Lovecraft into Mario, and it works super well, actually.
Really? What's it
I
called?
will try to find Call of Cthulhu, I think.
Oh,
It's Call of Cthulhu.
yes! I actually played a little bit of that back last October. I'm really into like the Mario realm hacking scene myself, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, it's man, we're finding out all sorts of stuff we like every now and then. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's a really good one and delightfully creepy. Like really, really fun. Like a good balance of like fun puzzly gameplay.
I feel so bad because I only played it a long time ago, and only a bit of the first level, and I wanted to play more, but I couldn't for whatever reason. So
it's a really
it's always in the back of my mind of like play this.
No, it's a really good hack. I just recently played, I believe it was called Mario for All Seasons, which is like a seasonal Mario hack, and I think it's 96 exits, but it's basically a ton of, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's Mario kind of just going through a landscape with spring, summer, fall, and winter, which is not super inspired, I guess, but the visual presentation is great.
I kind of like that idea, actually.
I'll send it to you.
I remember there was send it to me after. I'm gonna try to look up some of these facts and actually play them. So
it's a good time.
the only problem I have with Call of Cthulhu is that you can't is that Luigi isn't the protagonist because he feels a lot. He's a better fit, I think.
Oh, I'm doing terribly. I'm so used to having a
The dang vile arts. He's at it again.
He is indeed, and I've always been terrible at punching archviles.
The archvile seems like the perfect boss monster for Doom.
Yes.
Because of how scared it is of it, how scary it is to everybody, and a lot of other bosses people have made over the years, like for like Of Eternity and the Icon of Sin, people are just like, nah, it sucks, man. But everyone loves the Archvile, so.
Well, I think partially because the Archvile is not explicitly a boss monster. He's thrown in with the rank and file. He's just kind of a regular goon like everyone else. And he works precisely because he can resurrect and do a lot of other crazy stuff.
I feel like if you took the Archvile, beefed up its health a bit, gave it like a projectile attack, and then had a bunch of like low tier monsters kind of surrounding it, you could have like a great ending to a WAD or whatever.
Absolutely. Well, I think Skillsaw did that with Valiant. Which we might play someday actually. You have not played that, correct?
I have played the first few levels, but I mainly checked it out for map 06, which I couldn't really beat, the city level.
Oh, that's a really good level, yeah. It's very good overall. I think the 5th episode, which is the moon episode, is probably my favorite. It's one of those things that's kind of like, I don't know if you're very familiar with like the stuff that Tarnsman does, like Doom 2 in Spain only, or Tarnsman's Projectile Hell. But it's kind of like his mapping style, where you kind of have to buy what he's selling a little bit. But if you get used to his kind of quirks as a mapper, it can be really fun.
Yeah. That kind of does remind me of Skillsaw too, because for example, Man with Gun on the Sandwich streams, he like hates Skillsaw stuff.
Really? Man with Gun hates
I think it's like boring and stupid and overrated. Not stupid, I would say. But
Really?
he thinks it's overrated and doesn't like it, whereas like Mount Pain is just like, Skillsaw is like the best mapper ever.
I remember someone in one of the comments on one of Sandwich's streams was like saying that like Mount Pain would be like married to Doom Kid, but like he'd have a secret affair with Skillsaw, which I thought was a funny like thing.
Oh my god!
I don't think either.
I'm just imagining this as like Mount Pain as a woman, and then there's like a bunch of like wacky hijinks and shenanigans, and Sandwich is just the uncle that comes over every Thanksgiving. Hi everybody! I made the turkey.
Hey everybody, it's Uncle Wedge. Welcome back.
He does have a very like Charlie Day kind of look about him.
Oh yeah.
I would think he's an uncle.
Also, I love the opening of this level. Like, look at this. It's so like, I don't know what this music is from, but like Eternal's music choices are like pitch perfect, and this with like the fountain, it's so cool. It kind of.
I feel like if
go ahead.
This, especially, I kind of like the sort of atmosphere it can bring using like a single color.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, there's not a lot of like variance in colors here, but it still like looks wonderful.
You really hit the nail on the head, and it's like a testament to how like good use of shadow in the Doom engine can bring out just so much depth in your map. It's awesome. Because all these textures are just kind of like slightly different shades of brown, but you know, like you've got this little pocket of light around this lamp here, which, by the way, I love the lamp texture. Look at that. It's like a towering column of flame, and it's just slightly different from the stock texture, but it's so cool. And then it's like darker in here, and then you see like the contrast. Like, that's actually legitimately a good screen cap. I'm gonna screen cap that real quick. Got it.
Indeed.
It's so beautiful and so cool. But you're absolutely right, 100%.
Also, to kind of go back to the Mount Pain thing a bit ago, I was just thinking, if like Doom Kid and Skillsaw made a map, A+++.
I think that Mount Pain really enjoys Doom Kid as a person, but I don't think he's actually his favorite mapper. But I
feel like Doom Kid usually is around like a mid to low B, like averaging for Mount Pain, because Mount Pain really likes hard stuff.
Yes.
So like, yeah. I remember I watched the April Fool's video, like the new one, and it's just like, yeah, it seems like him to be just like, you know what? If you guys like easy maps so much, how about we do these quote unquote super easy maps? They're just like, if he didn't do Dale's Vault on the sawed off wads, he would definitely do it there.
Sorry, gotta focus here. Oh god. Ooh, chingers. I can get a chingar. Sorry.
Bandana.
Sorry, I kind of had to focus. That was a little spicy encounter. But no, how did you think about that episode, by the way?
Remember that episode?
The April Fool's episode, that is.
How did I think of it?
Yeah, what'd you think of it?
I thought it was kind of okay, but after what he said about hard stuff in the last one, it felt a little like mean, but I don't think that was his intention. It just kind of felt like that at the times, like
Really? Why did it feel mean?
Yeah, I felt like it was just kind of like, I don't think this was his intention at all, but it kind of felt like it was, wow, you guys like easy stuff? And I'm kind of doing hard stuff. You know what? Why don't we just do this little like April Fool's thing that is like, yeah, we're not doing easy stuff more anytime soon. That kind of puts me to sleep, so.
Yeah, I think his...
I wouldn't say mean, I would say kind of like unintentionally disrespectful.
I think...
I still like the episodes. I have nothing against the guy. It's
sure.
not my stuff.
I think, yeah, it's hard to know what his intention was in this, but I actually thought it was not too bad of an episode, but, I wasn't sure if it was meant to mock easy players and, like, you know, do an April Fool's on people who want easy wads, or if it was meant to, like, mock the people who like the really hard stuff. But it's possible we're reading too much into it. I certainly don't know.
Mount Pain is a very enigmatic person.
That's a good one.
That's my kind of only kind of critique about him, is that it's very hard to, like, discern what he's, like, actually thinking, or, like, his motive or whatever.
Oh, how do you like that?
Or, like...
How do you like that? I figured out a secret. Megasphere. Sorry, go ahead. I just had to go.
That's what I would say. Mount Pain is a very enigmatic person. That's what I would say. It's very hard to kind of like tell his intentions sometimes.
I can dig it. It's
yeah.
He's a very good writer, I will say that. And his stuff is extremely entertaining. And he is very sincere in his own way. But he's also very sardonic, which is a bit of a contradiction, I guess. But it's hard for me to be too mad at the guy because he did bring me into Doom. I mean, it's because of his videos that I got into Doom in the first place. So, but yeah, he is leaning more towards the harder stuff, which makes it harder to kind of identify. And I do feel like when you go in that direction, people tend to get kind of prideful about it. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
That's what kind of one of the intentions of joining the show is because people kind of see Mount Pain as kind of like the only kind of Doom reviewer if you kind of discount G-Man Waves and Icarus and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they kind of do like Z-Doom stuff. They don't really get into the vanilla stuff that often.
Yeah, true.
And see, Icarus Lives kind of get more into that side of the community as of late, kind of. But I'm not too familiar with him, so I can't really say which kind of side he lives on. G-Man Lives is definitely very Z-Doom based. Yeah.
Icarus Lives definitely seems more like the guy... Well, Icarus Lives' big thing is mods, I think. He really loves his mods and so forth. And that's a lot of what his channel focuses on. Though he did do a review of My House.mod recently, which I didn't watch because I don't want to have it spoiled for me. And I've heard from you that it's very, very good.
I will say, progression can get very confusing. Like I've gotten stuck sometimes, so
really?
That's what I'll say. So yeah, the only thing you really need to know is that it was a tribute to a childhood friend of the map authors, and the first portion is kind of vanilla-esque, and you can miss the entirety of the WAD and just be like, what was all the fuss about?
That I did hear. That I did have spoiled for me, that you can, like, get, like, one
I feel like
key.
that's the only thing you should be spoiled on, to make sure people don't skip out on the experience.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't say, like, oh, spoiler alert, Nuke Nukem dies at the end, and that Doom guy has to take over and then run the family business, so...
What? That's the plot. Oh, no.
What was it? You gotta do it, son. For me.
Klaesick, you bastard. Also,
I plead the fifth.
Beg pardon?
I plead the fifth.
What are you, Donald Trump?
I don't know, but I'm certainly not Joe Biden. Not to get too political here, but those kind of three people, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama, are kind of like memes at this point, and that's all I see them as.
I can hear
Like,
you.
yeah, I still need to look a bit more into their leadership. Like, I didn't like Trump that much with what he was doing.
I hated Trump. I hate that guy so goddamn much. I mean, Obama and Biden are politicians, and so I have a natural affinity against politicians generally, but I do think they're much better leaders and have a better pulse on what the people want. But they are definitely memes, to be sure.
I feel like with Biden, from what I've seen, I'm personally very left-leaning. I have sort of a neutral opinion on him because I've heard he's messing up some stuff, like with Afghanistan, and the majority of the population just doesn't really like him that much.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Seems more like an inept leader at the wrong place at the wrong time rather than, you know...
I disagree. There's been a lot of jobs created during his presidency thus far, and so he's brought a lot of people back to work, even though inflation has been a big problem, but that's partially been due to the Ukraine war, which has been like a big thing. And so it's not entirely his fault. I think, considering kind of where he is and trying to play both sides of the field to, you know, get as much support for the Democratic Party, he's doing as well as can be expected. Though, he's no Bernie Sanders. I would have really loved Bernie to be president, but...
I kind of agree there. I feel like also I've heard about Joe Biden. One of the critiques I found, at least online, from one of my friends, is that gas prices are rising, so...
But that's not entirely his fault. That's also partially due to the oil embargo with Russia, and then the heavier kind of restrictions being placed on corporations, precisely so they can do less skeevy things. That's not like the Democratic Party twiddling their fingers and saying, "Oh."
One other thing I've learned is that people tend to blame people with people with a face, because that's easier to blame than just like a kind of large kind of entity that kind of connects itself and pulls all the strings.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I kind of got put into that perspective from Wall-E, actually, because like, especially with like climate change or whatever, there's no like one person or like one company that you can go in and say they're to blame. It's like a wide web of just bad decisions and kind of automated autonomy, you know, where it's just kind of like, you know, you can't really put a face to it because there's so many different actions happening all the time. So.
Oh, sure. Well, as always, it's the wealthy people who are generally to blame, who are apathetic and want to keep the status quo, and so,
Does Elon Musk really need that much money?
Big pardon?
Does Elon Musk really need that much money?
No one needs that much money.
Yeah. I've heard two of my friends really, really love Elon Musk, and I just don't get why. I feel like with the Mars stuff, I'm very cynical about space exploration, personally.
Oh, me too.
I'm not cynical about some things, but one of the things I'm very, very cynical about, and think we should pursue at all right now, is space exploration. I'm sorry.
Well, and truth be told, I think it's really cool, and I think it's somewhere that humanity should progress, but I think we also have bigger problems, and we should be focusing on those bigger problems in the short term. Like,
I would love to like walk on Mars or whatever, but like we're still dealing with a lot of problems here now. You know what planet we should start terraforming? Earth, the one we live on.
Precisely! That's my big thing with environmentalism, is like, yes, space travel is cool, but I'd much rather like make our own planet like safeguarded, you know, in my lifetime than try to like terraform Mars, because it's so much easier to just stay where we are and fix it than try to move to another planet.
I feel like with the Mars thing, I just kind of view that as more of like an excuse for the rich to get off our planet, being
Yes.
presented as like a whole humanity thing, rather.
Klaesick, you are a
Yeah.
wise man. I think you're
Thank you.
absolutely right. Also, I love, this is a motif I'm noticing in this one. I love this motif of like the slowly raising stairs. That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I feel like if we had to terraform anything besides Earth, it would actually be the moon. Like if we had like if we were like in a better world and like Earth was clean and healthy or whatever, we should do it to the moon. It's closer, it's cheaper than Mars, and if it fails, we can see what efforts work and what doesn't. You know,
Oh yeah, totally. And it's like,
because we haven't. Problem with terraforming is we don't really have a we don't really have a control to like kind of base it off.
you're hitting 3-pointers with your points. I mean, those are all really excellent points. I mean, the moon would be so much easier, so much closer too. I think maybe part of the appeal with Mars is that it's got water on it. Ooh, I love that texture. Look at that. That's really cool. It's all yellow and
Reminds me of Eternity's like kind of portals, but less starry, more like wavy.
I like it. Yeah, this is like a cool. This what has the vibe of Eternity, but with like the motifs and story of Ancient Aliens. I really like it.
They even have like the space levels. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
in my view, I tend to think of the gray alien stereotype as just humans from the far, far future that traveled back in time.
Oh yeah, totally. Wait, which aliens are you talking about?
The gray alien stereotype in pop culture.
Oh yeah, I mean they're very humanoid, and a lot of scientists say it's very unlikely that something bipedal that looks just like us essentially would form in the future. So,
Have you heard of the Biren Project by any chance?
the what project?
The Biren Project.
No, what's that?
Basically, it was by one guy. I'll find a video on it, but basically one guy who tried to imagine a alien civilization that wasn't humanoid, and they ended up coming with like 6-limbed deer-sized organisms that would have like eye stalks, and live on a planet where there's like red plants. So
That's interesting. That sounds like something out of like No Man's Sky or something.
yeah, they do. The thing with that though is I think what is actually interesting is that aliens, while like humanoid, they tend to have a very non-human society for whatever reason.
How do you mean?
Like they're very different from us, whereas like with the Birens, it's very kind of their technology and culture is very obviously a parallel to ours.
Well, I mean, culturally, we have to draw from what we know. And so unless
Yeah.
someone finds a way to create like a simulation where they're able to perfectly create another... Oh, hello, storage file. Unless someone is able to like run a simulation where they're able to perfectly create what a society would look like, without human influence, it's hard not to let cultural assumptions and norms from how we developed as mammals and as, you know, a survivalist culture from the Ice Age, kind of influence our view of how another intelligence might develop. Whereas it might
Yeah.
be completely different.
I remember there was one book called Children of Time. There was a retrovirus that there was a human wanted to put into monkeys, and she would be their god, but the monkeys died off, and they got infected into spiders instead.
Oh my.
And then they started making their own society, and they have and their computers run on ant labor.
Ha! You know, now that you mention
Oh.
that does sound kind of familiar. I think I might have heard of that before.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird concept to think of, at least for humans, you know, domesticating animals to use as like a power source for like computers.
It is kind of interesting. I mean, from an energy efficiency standpoint, I kind of like it. I guess from an ethical standpoint, I might have an issue with it, but
Yeah.
At what point?
Ethically, it's not the best, considering what type of animal, you know.
Yeah, because it's like, at what point does the animal's right as just a being come into play?
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought experiment.
It's interesting thought experiment on my end, because looking at how different societies of like let's say different animals that aren't human would develop. Like for the spiders, you know, they don't really consider our morality because our morality might be like really far removed from theirs. Like ours is ultimately based off of the needs of the social species.
Yes.
Like the only reason we really care about what other people and what other beings think is because we as animals literally evolved to survive based on group cooperation.
Exactly. The only reason it's so annoying sometimes because it's like the reason we have like anxiety is because it's like socially necessary to have anxiety, to like care about what other people think so that we survive as a species. But in modern civilization, anxiety is kind of irrelevant, and it's really frustrating because it actually gets in the way more often than it helps in like modern society. But that's how it be, you know.
How am I thinking of it? We're basically like apes trying to make our society an anthill.
Yeah, it's well, we have these preconditions from developing a certain way and coming from a certain evolutionary background, which is no longer applicable now that we have, you know, a society. And morphing our behaviors to find fulfillment and happiness in society is just difficult.
Until we get mastered at genetic engineering, which probably won't be for a long time, we're kind of like stuck in this like limbo state for a bit. So
yeah, totally. So glad I saved.
So, I kind of like to think about like different types of, or like they call it speculative evolution. I like to think about that a lot.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like something that's innately different from you, you know, and they still build societies. For example, like a smaller example was like how people in the Americas, until like the Europeans arrived, didn't invent the wheel at all, and they didn't really have a use for it. And we in the old world were just like so used to the wheel, we couldn't comprehend this society that just didn't have one.
Or, for that matter, have anything approaching a pack animal. I mean, like Native Americans, for example, not only did they not have the wheel, but they didn't have horses or cows or anything of that nature. And so, and yet, they had technology all their own, which in its own was incredible. I remember going at one point to like an exhibit in like, gosh, I want to say this was like Oklahoma, but they showed like technology that the Iroquois used to like keep their earthenware huts like cool during the summer, and it was amazing. Like they had air ventilation systems and like natural like gravity fed kind of like oxygenation for their like underground huts and so forth. It was remarkably advanced. It just goes to show like how far ingenuity can take you and how far you can build a civilization based on that alone. Really incredible stuff.
There was an alternate history I read a bit ago where like there's a map where it's just like somebody decided to build like a really hyper advanced society, but they're stuck at like a Stone Age level of development. But they still have like medicine and like, you know, basics of civilization, just doesn't really go into metalworking.
Yeah.
It's kind of fascinating, you know.
Really? What civilization did they base their analysis on?
I need to find a thread again, but I think it was kind of like, I think they still had like settled societies on that. Like for example, there was one thing in the Colorado where they basically said it was Navajo Minas Tirith, which I think was kind of funny.
I like that.
Yeah.
Navajo Minas Tirith. Well, I can see it. Like once again, they were way more advanced than we give them credit for, or at least I tend to give them credit for, I think. But that's really cool. Speaking of which, completely random question, but what is your opinion of the Lord of the Rings movies?
I have watched the Fellowship of the Ring and part of the Two Towers. I didn't really like the Two Towers as much. I really like Fellowship of the Ring though. Um,
Yeah.
Saruman is a really cool villain because it's Christopher Lee doing it. So
Christopher
and
Lee
he's like
is
great.
the man.
He's great at like everything he does.
Christopher Lee is the man. I remember when he died, someone was like, he hasn't died, he's probably just gone back to home planet. So that was pretty funny. But, no, I love the whole series. I grew up reading the books, and so I'm very inundated with Tolkien's kind of writing style, and I love just his world in general. But, I do agree with you. The Fellowship is like by far and above my favorite of all three movies, just because it's such a well-contained story with such good characterization and such a good ramp up to where you understand like the motivations of the character and what the issues are. It's a masterful, extremely.
I really like to recreate that kind of story, like not exact, but I really like the story of Fellowship of the Ring. Well, like, feels like if you, like, there was this video I found, it was, by, like, XP to level 3, Lord of the Rings as a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
It was, like, the funniest thing ever, like,
I think
one of the
you
bits they
sent that to
did
me,
was that
actually.
when Boromir died, his player created Gollum. And there was just, like, the DMs was like, okay, you need a really good reason to try to take the ring. It's like, oh yeah, I got it.
I think
I remember one of the comments said, Boromir/Gollum seems like a forever DM that became a player, so.
I think you actually sent that to me, and I thought that was really funny.
No, and then I think there was one bit I really liked. It was like, no, dude, he's different. I'm not going to read your 90-page document about your backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both corrupt.
We're getting more into D&D as I play due to our friends, so.
What's that you said?
I've been getting more into D&D as of late, thanks to a friend, so.
It's a really fun outlet. It's you do have to put a little legwork in, but a lot of the fun is like the evolution of the story as you kind of like build your character and kind of build what you want to. It's a lot of fun. And I remember this.
I feel like I've ended up really liking the world building too. Like, I'm trying to make my own kind of D&D setting, but I would probably make that way down the line when I have enough kind of, or like release that when I have enough experience with like storytelling or whatever, or like making good writing. So.
Oh, totally.
I'd love that setting is done, I'd probably turn that into a Doom mod.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd love to see like something I really want to see more in the Doom world is like more kind of like gothic D&D influence, so to speak. I think that could be a lot of fun.
My setting was kind of like is a kind of post-apocalyptic one. So I took like, if you've ever watched the movie Wizards, I kind of took that and then starting adding a bunch of other influences and kind of putting my own spin on it, basically.
Wizards, is that the one with? Is that the post-apocalyptic one that Ralph Bakshi directed?
Yes, it's the one Ralph Bakshi made.
Yes, actually, I watched that. I watched that back in January. Per something you said on the Discord, you mentioned something about loving that film, and I was like, "Ooh, well, if Klaesick likes this, I kind of want to see it." So, yeah, no, I saw it, and I will say I had kind of mixed feelings about it, but
I feel like with the thing with Wizards, it is a very flawed. I would call it a masterpiece, but it's a flawed masterpiece. Like, the writing isn't that strong. I think it's a bit too suggestive. But I do like the themes in it, and the visuals especially. Like the characters, And the writing I don't really care for that much. But like the world itself and the themes. And like I think and especially like the ending scene, I just really love that. So
Really, the one where the king wizard kills the other guy, or the one where
yeah, the one where the king wizard kills the other guy with a gun.
what?
Instead of like giving him like a door of magic, he just takes out a Luger and like shoots his sword out. So
That actually kind of bothered me because I was like, you should defeat him with magic, and it's kind of like you're using technology, so you're going against everything you stood for. Why did that work for you?
I feel like that worked for me because I kind of viewed it as technology isn't inherent. The message, at least what I got from the film, that they were trying to say is like technology isn't inherently evil, and it's the people who use it. Like the main villain uses a mix of like magic and technology. The main issue with the film was like propaganda. I think like the villains of the film are depicted as like literal Nazis. Like they had technology in MP40s back before they got like the projector machine to inspire them, and they didn't really do anything with that until they got inspired and started to be like, "Oh yeah, we're National Socialists, but orcs."
It's a good point, and I actually do really like that theme because it's a good point because it's like it's not the technology that's developed, and it's how you use it, which makes it good or bad. I mean, AI or nuclear, you could talk about that with a lot of things. However, I think we're at time. I think we've been talking for like 40 minutes, so I think we should probably
With that,
pause the episode
we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Yeah, we'll be back very, very soon, so we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.